How long have you guys been doing this?
We've been brothers for 31 years now.
Yeah.
But we've been wrestling for about since 2012. So I'm not a scientist or anything, but it's a few years.
It's a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's in your blood. You know, everybody knows the backstory, right? Yeah. But when did you individually decide, hey, this is what I want to do professionally?
I think it was maybe 2011, we went to Harley Race's wrestling school, and we're just to try it out. My dad suggested we go check it out, and we got invited to Japan right after that, and it wasn't until probably a few months in that we're kind of like, we're kind of cut out for this. Like we're athletic in a bunch of weird little ways that don't really make sense in sports. Like we're huge football fans. We wanted to be, our first love was football. We wanted to play football and go to the NFL was our thing. And, it just didn't pan out. And then wrestling just seemed like it fit our skill set in a weird way. So.
It wasn't easy though at all. When we first got into Japan, we had gotten a new respect for wrestling, because in Japan it's looked at totally different than you would look at it in the States. It's more looked at like kind of like how we look at NFL players. It's very, very respectful, and there's a lot of rules and things that we needed to learn as kids, because we were young. We were straight out of high school, straight to the dojo, living in the dojo for 3 months at a time, and come home for a few days, back for 3 months, and you would really have to love wrestling. And it was already such a big part of our lives, growing up in locker rooms with my dad, and this is pretty much all we know. And so it was to go somewhere so far away and yet feel at home. When you're in the ring, we feel, like we're home. And so it was, but I got to do it with my brother, so it's made it a little easier,
So often, kids grow up seeing what their parents do, and they're like, I want to do anything but that. Like, give me as far away from whatever that is as possible. That didn't happen for you guys.
He's a pretty cool dad. We think he's, we've always just thought he was great, and same thing for him. He wanted to do what his dad did, and my dad has never pushed anything on us, and if anything, I'd say he'd want us to avoid wrestling, because look at my body. He has knee surgeries, shoulders falling out, and he's not in the greatest shape as an older man, but we were, as little kids, we wanted that. I was like, I can't wait for my first knee injury, man. That's gonna be so cool. Like, we thought it was so cool how he limped around, and he was great. So we knew what was, we thought we knew what.
He looked like he had done something with his life, using his body. You're like, yeah, I respect that. That's cool.
His scars, his injuries, it's like a story in a way,
Yeah. What's it like getting advice, or do you, from your dad on your careers?
Oh, well, he's your father, and so as a kid, he'll always be dad, and so it was difficult in the beginning to hear some things from him, because we'd feel like, no, Dad, wrestling's changed a lot. It's different now. But then you meet guys that you really look up to and respect, that you've seen on TV. You see how they change when your dad walks into a room, and how they listen to your dad. You're like, oh shoot, maybe he was onto something, And everything he has said to this point has happened, And so he's been. Now he's like sensei, He's right about everything.
Yeah. How about for you? Any advice you remember thinking like, all right, maybe I should give that some credence?
Well, there was a little dose of that's my dad, and you kind of want to go a different direction, but that was a phase for me, and then I kind of grew out of it, and I'm just like, we're really similar in a whole lot of ways, so he might know what he's talking about, and you see how other people respect him and stuff, and it felt natural. And as soon as we got into it, we kind of just knew, there's something here, and we're gonna stick to this.
Yeah.
As long as the door stays open, we're gonna keep on trucking.
What's it like carrying your last name with you through this career?
You tell the story.
Yeah, He's got a little story.
Well, there was a turning point for us, and it kind of answered all the questions whether this is what we're supposed to do or not. But we had gotten sent to Japan, and Japan will test you, because you really have to love wrestling. We were sleeping, the dojo we were sleeping on, it was plywood on top of cinder blocks, and it was live, breathe wrestling. And we weren't coming in as American wrestlers. We were there as as Japanese young boys. They treated us as though we were Japanese young boys, and I didn't know that they hadn't really done that with Americans before. So it was kind of a big deal at the Pro Wrestling Noah dojo, and so we were. It was very, very hard on your body because it's 1,000 squats every day, 1,000 squats, 300 push-ups, and then training for hours and hours. And then we'd make this certain meal called chanko, is for pro wrestlers. We'd make it for the older wrestlers, and it's all about respect. The older wrestlers eat first, and if there's anything left over, the young boys get it after. And so that for 3 months was very, very just humbling. But that's why in the beginning of the career, it was, we'd sit there and we had prayers together. Like, are we doing the right thing? Is this what we're supposed to do? Are we honoring the family name? Are we making it worse? Because this is
we're losing every match.
Losing.
Yeah.
We're 0-40 or something. And getting our butts kicked, and then training, getting your butts kicked. But there was a turning point. We were in this small country town in Japan, and we like to get on the rooftop before any show. We just like to get away from everybody and just get alone together and talk about what's going on and just why we're there. And so we were on this rooftop and we had this discussion like, hey man, is this what we want to do for the rest of our lives? Are we honoring the Von Erich name? Because we've realized what an honor it is to be a Von Erich. We didn't earn it, we didn't buy it, it was given to us. And so we want to, if we're going to be Von Erichs, we want to do it to the best of our ability and have our hearts be fully into it. Just like my uncles, my grandfather, it's what they fought for. And so we were on this building, and we went and we had this prayer, like turning point, or is this where we're supposed to be or not? And we marked our names on the wall with this little rock. And Ross Marshall, and I think we were at a date, 2012. And we went down there and went back to the locker room, got our butts kicked, lost our match, came back and sitting on that rooftop just pondering. And as we were talking, I saw a scratch mark, next to ours. It was on the other side of the wall.
Really faded and old looking.
Yeah, and it looked like ours. And so, we went up and read it, and it said Kevin and David, 1980, it was 83 or 84, something. And my father's Kevin, and his brother's David. My real name is Kevin, his real name is David. And it was my father and my uncle. They were our age at that time in Japan, probably thinking the same thing. And it was the most confirmation that we've ever had that we were exactly where we were supposed to be. And there was two others just like us, and that were there before us. And things didn't get better after that point, but we knew we were where we were supposed to be at that point, and our hearts changed, but we were motivated, and yeah, it definitely didn't get easier, but we had the answer, the answer we needed.
Affirmation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. What do you love about doing this? What is it about wrestling that for you, forget the name, forget the family history, but keeps you personally going in this industry?
I think it's there's a creative freedom. We kind of feel like it's probably the last form of Shakespeare in a way, just because it's live and there's one take. You're the actor, you're the stunt double, and so it's like there's that creative outlet, and also you wrap in, my grandfather did this, my uncles, my whole family lineage, was part of their identity, and it's just so fulfilling for us. And
it's like what we were made for it, but also just the relationships. There's been, we've made friends with people we've never would have met, and pro wrestling can be a silly thing. As young kids, our dad was a wrestler, and so we did go through the thing where, okay, let's try to make it our own path. So I threw discus, he played football, and we're pretty successful at them, but at one point the doors closed for both of us. And we found out through wrestling that we've traveled the world, we've gone to different countries, we've gone to Israel, the UK, Australia, places that we never imagined that we would go. And like all the stories I have in here, he was with me. He's there. And so we've built these beautiful relationships. And one thing in particular is we got invited to wrestle in Israel. We have a really big following in Israel from my father, and it's very raw. It's like the raw wrestling fan. And their meet and greets, when you go in there, there's no line. They're just there. They're kissing you, hugging you. They're there. They're talking to you.
Or like a mosh pit. I would
Yeah,
say.
and it's beautiful how they look at wrestling. But it was my dad's retirement match in 2017, and we were for us it was the coolest experience ever because we're actually wrestling with Dad, and I'll never forget that day. There were so many. I mean, I could talk forever about it, but the thing that pulled me in the most was during the match. Look at the crowd, and you have Arabs and Jews and Muslims, and they're holding hands, cheering, booing together, and it's beautiful. And for my dad, and when they went down there, it was the first time in years they had a ceasefire between the Palestinians and Jews to watch pro wrestling, and so it's just unbelievable what something like this can pull out of people.
Yeah, a simple thing that can cross barriers that are geopolitical and whatever, and just people can enjoy together and for a little while forget the week they had, forget the their trouble with their boss or whatever it is, and act it out, or see it being played out in front of them. And a lot of people relate with that, and it's a cool thing.
Yeah, you've seen it move people.
No, 100%. Everybody has a story. What we've realized too is the fans that are coming here, they're all here. They're either trying to get away from something, or they're bringing their kids. They're bringing their kids something to bond. But the wrestlers too. There's every wrestler we've met. We realize, because before we're wrestlers, we're Christians. We're not your typical Christians. We grew up with a father that we didn't grow up in churches or anything like that. It was in locker rooms. But my dad has a very different relationship with God than anyone that we have met. But there's something bigger than just wrestling. We've never titled ourselves as pro wrestlers. I feel like we're hope dealers in a way, and because there's a lot of people that are walking around with hopeless hearts for no reason. And my dad had a nuts life. He lost everything that he loved, and he felt like, and he said it was after he lost his third or fourth brother. He's like, all right, God, it's too late. I'll never be able to experience joy ever again. Now, if things were to get good, I wouldn't appreciate it. And he just felt broken. And he brought this up to us about a few years ago. And he said, I look now and I have 20 family members. I have my grandchildren all around me. I'm happier than I've ever been now. And death can do two things to a man. It can harden you, make you bitter and guarded, or it can break you down and make you compassionate towards those who suffer. And that's the father that we had. And so we have this deep empathy for just strangers, people. Everybody's a person. Everybody's got a story. Every person you meet, as soon as you meet them, you officially have a part in their story. Yeah. And my dad said, what role do you play? And it made us look at life wrestling differently, and also realize a lot of people don't experience that peppery fight feeling like, am I going to die right now, or whatever wrestling will bring in these weird situations, because a lot of crazy stories have happened. And there's things that we've realized, like, man, we have a pretty cool life, man. We get to go around and meet so many different people, build so many different relationships, and we're doing it together. We're doing it because my brother, God's given me a built-in best friend. We're into the same things. I feel like together we make one decent person. Separately, we're pretty weird people. If we did this interview, separately, I don't know if it'd go great. Yeah.
I have 2 boys, so this is very encouraging.
Yes.
So you understand.
So, you mentioned, the heartache that your family's been through, and so many people over the last year, 2 years, got a glimpse of that with the movie. Did that change anything for you guys once that came out?
What would you say?
Yeah, it definitely brought a lot of attention to the story, and if we could ask anything, it's that people could benefit from what my father had gone through, and we think that's the case because a lot of people have reached out saying that it helped them, and they've dealt with a lot. The suffering is relative. People go through things, and they're it's huge to them. And so if they can draw any strength or encouragement from what he went through, that's a win for us, and we feel like that's kind of our purpose, to show that.
What was the point? What was the point if somebody?
Because everybody is walking around with at least a partially broken heart, and you put your face on, and you try to bury it down, and that's what, a lot of people are having to do in life, so if people can see that story and benefit, that's really that's a great thing for us.
Or even dig deeper and try to get to know the real Kevin, or meet us, because the movie did take their liberties. It's Hollywood. They left out some stuff. We didn't really have any part in like making it or anything like that. But we feel like they didn't cross any line or anything like that. It was a good story. Sean Durkin he's a nice guy and stuff, and so we kind of couldn't do much. It was going to happen regardless, and so you want to be a part of it or not? And it was intense. It was an intense time to see my dad, his life get so talked about and the story made on his life. But I do wish they would have left the foundation. But what got my dad through that was his relationship with God, and that was the number one thing. And it's, of course, they had to leave that out. But the reason I think that's so like precious and important is I can almost promise you've never met a Christian like my dad. He's not your typical Christian. He's a man that lives with liberty, and he said God is bigger than this box that we put him in, and he's not this rule bearing. Do this so many times a day, all that, he's not religious, it's not religious. It's the one thing that we cannot boast. The work has been done, and so my dad walks around in freedom, and that's how what we've gotten from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, where are you wrestling now? What promotion do you work with?
We wrestle for All Elite Wrestling, AEW. We signed a few months ago, and so we started about a year ago. We did some matches for them, and it was actually a beautiful time because it was right when the movie had come out, and so people were wondering if the Von Erichs were still around. And so to click your TV on after you watch that movie and to see that Kevin is alive and well, he has 2 sons, and they're actively in the wrestling world. And what they didn't see was the 12-year gut-wrenching mess to get to that point, but it wasn't a mess. It was all meant to be, and so my brother and I, we're happy that so many people are coming in now and just support. Texas is so special to our family because they've seen everything. They've seen us hurt. They grew up with us, and so Texas will always be so special to us, and that's who we are. We're 2 Texas boys just playing the cards that we're dealt.
Yeah. And when the movie came out, I think that brought up so many memories for Texans who grew up with your dad and your uncles. I mean, my co-anchor's wife, she grew up in Fort Worth, and she would say she'd like go to bed, her parents would put her to bed, and she'd sneak the radio in and be able to listen to their matches, and remembers when they came to her school and it was like a holiday.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I love hearing that.
Yeah, so I just think that's really cool to see how it impacted people who grew up.
We know people that didn't go to school the day my Uncle Dave passed away, because that was the first shocker.
Yes.
They were at the top of that point, and they haven't seen any tragedy. They hadn't seen any. In Texas, really did watch them grow up. They watched their father, and then them come in one by one, and then do it together. And it was organic. It really was organic. They were boys that they wanted to do what their dad was doing, and it was Texas will always be so special to us because of that. And my brother and I, the fact that we came back, it felt so right. We came back to Texas. We went out in Hawaii, and I understand we did it for my father. My dad loves Texas, but it was painful. It was painful. Everything reminded him of his brothers, and his family, and they would do stuff because Von Erichs, we're hard on ourselves, being critical thinkers or critical on ourselves, and we know that, and so that's why my brother and I were constantly checking on each other, checking on I hate the word mental health, but we're constantly checking on each other, and it's my dad, he holds life precious. It really is, and he's like, when you meet somebody new, take the guard down. Don't have too much pride where you don't want to say I love you first. Any of that stuff. Life is so short. People you love do pass. And these days are going. So take that time to hear someone out, listen to them. And so that's what we're just. We're relatively youngish in this career, and so we want to just learn as much as we can while we have our father.
Yeah. Where is home base for you guys now?
we're in Bernie right now, which is beautiful. We love love the city, love the people, just love being in Texas in general. It just felt so right to come back, and being here has been, everything we hoped it would be and more. The community has just welcomed us with open arms, and we didn't even know at the time, but Bill Goldberg lives in Bernie too, and he's become almost like an uncle to us. He's just a really great guy, and just the community as a whole.
It's weird. Bernie has become like a pro wrestling, because Shawn Michaels, a lot of wrestlers have come out here to escape and get away. But there's something that feels like safe about Bernie, and for us, it's Brandon's fault. He brought us over here at RCW. We first got RCW. We had never worked at a promotion that felt like a family. The people care about each other. They really do, and Brandon has made San Antonio, when you want to wrestle in San Antonio, RCW is the place you want to be. It is, and it's the most organized. It's everybody's well trained. They have students. It is a business. It really is, and they've been kicking butt for years now. And my brother and I, we first came out here a few years ago, and we'll never forget the relationship that we made with Brandon. He's become like a brother to us, and to the fact that when we picked Bernie, we're like, oh man, RCW's right there. We got the hybrid training school, and then we have a place to train. Before that, it was beaches. We were training on beaches in Hawaii, and that was
made for some cool videos.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah,
that sounds really awful.
No, yeah, the sand rashes and all that stuff. It got old. It got old pretty quick.
Yeah. So, I told you I would not describe myself as a pro wrestling fan, but
That's what you said before the cameras are off. She's a huge fan.
But things happening in San Antonio, stories to tell here, that's my thing. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. And there is such a story about what's happening here with hybrid, with RCW. Yeah. So you all trained, or you worked with RCW for how long?
Man. What's the first? 2017? Yes, I think that's right. Okay. 2017 is when we started with RCW, and as soon as we had our first match at RCW, it became a regular promotion for us. We wanted to stick to RCW, because when you're on the independent circuit, you pretty much you're working as much as you can. But when you find a promotion that you feel feel comfortable at, and that is doing constant shows, they're doing monthly shows, so we knew this is where we wanted to be. And
Dad always spoke so highly of San Antonio, because Dallas was their spot, I guess, but San Antonio, they would always say that's where that's the best crowds.
Said it might be hotter than Dallas. My dad has said that multiple times, because it's like families. It's huge families. They bring their kids, their mom, their dad. It's a family event, and that's what Von Erich's all about. We're about the families and stuff. And so once we experienced it ourselves, it was like, okay, there's
Game
something
over.
different.
Yeah, we're coming here.
Yeah.
This is the place to be. So.
Yes.
That to me is what's cool. What I've found out interviewing at various promotions and places where wrestling shows are happening in town. People are bringing their kids.
Yes.
They're bringing their family. It's a family operation to make it happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And that to me is the story that I wanted to tell people. There is this thing happening in San Antonio, whether you're into it or not. There's this whole world that exists here that hundreds of people, thousands of people are into.
Yes.
So how would you describe the wrestling scene in San Antonio?
Definitely it's I would say it's hot, but it's growing.
Yes.
And it's like
it's building up.
Yeah, it's building, and the RCW and hybrid, it's a family thing, and we're a big, local business supporters, even from Hawaii, it's always, support local businesses, but here it's the same exact thing, there's not some big corporation benefiting, it's all San Antonians just, supporting this product of people that are from the area, and, you can bring your grandkid, the grandpa, the father, whatever. It's
kid friendly. That's what's bothered us. Being on the indie scene for as long as we were, there's a lot of shows we worked for where you could not bring your kid to that. You couldn't bring your kid to the show. It's like it's almost like a circus. And there's times where you're like, what am I doing with my life, man? There's some crazy situations. But here it felt different, and like I have 2 boys, I can bring them with me to these shows, and it's close to home. It almost feels like a vacation when we do any RCW shows. But with Brandon believed in something. He you can tell, and he's brought good people around him, and the team is growing. But what we have noticed is when we leave RCW, we go back on the road with AEW. It's what the wrestlers say about RCW. RCW is a place where the other wrestlers want to come here. They want to be here because you can go, you can wrestle for RCW. You know it's going to be a hot crowd. You know there's going to be a lot of people, but they have the facility. They have the places to train. They have this hybrid where you can come and to have 5, 6 rings at your disposal and go work out, get a pump, get back in the ring, try a move. It's a wrestler's dream. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything I didn't ask you guys just about what's happening here in San Antonio that you think is important for people to know, especially people like me who are a super novice in this area?
Okay. Talk about your love life a little bit.
Oh yeah, we can do a whole explains on that if you want.
Or lack thereof, I guess. But yeah, just there probably has been like a stigma, I guess, from wrestling, and I think we're pretty familiar with that because our mom is the classic mom. The
movie did not depict that at all.
Yeah.
My mom is not like she was in that movie at all. That's why we enjoyed when they premiered it. We were laughing so hard because my mom was like I guess
she was the good one, and my dad was the not good, so great one, and they kind of switched.
In the movie, they
switched
the roles. Yeah. So it was funny for us, but
yeah, I would say just that it's something everybody can enjoy, and maybe a lot what's holding a lot of people back from totally buying in is maybe their past experience that they've had with wrestling, like kind of like the sideshow thing, like they've done some ridiculous stuff to make it look like a joke, in the past, and it's not like that. And I think people can see for themselves when they come. Everyone has a great time, and everyone leaves smiling, and it's a great night every time.
At RCW, they'll do what other promotions do. They'll bring in big stars occasionally and things like that. But one thing we love about RCW is they use homegrown students, these athletes. They're from San Antonio. They worked at the school, and that's what we love about it. We come here, and you don't need to book these crazy names to bring in the audience. The audience is there. They're here for the product. They're here for the experience. They can bring their family. It's once you go once, it's like you mark it on your calendar. You want to go every month, and it's my family's a part of it. We got bit too, so we're RCW fanatics too.
Yeah. Bringing your kids, that's one question I've had. I'm like, okay, after this interview,
Yes.
Can I bring my boys here? I mean, they're little.
100%.
Can I bring them out there?
That's what I love about RCW, and it's they some shows you can't do that. Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah.
And here it is kid friendly. You can, and that for us, that's when wrestling grabbed us. And I wish that wrestling didn't steer away from that. I get it. The Attitude Era, it was fun for us. We were sneaking VHS tapes, because my mom and dad, or my mom wouldn't let us watch it. And so we were hiding, watching the stuff, all that. But that's when it grabbed us. When we were kids, there's something about for me, when I was a little boy, watching these guys larger than life, these like titans, and I want to be like that. It grabs you. And so we've realized the influence you have on kids too. As a wrestler, they have that look on their face like, whoa, I'm talking to a superhero. And to be able to do that for some of these wrestlers, they've, a lot of them had hard lives. Like it's crazy stories and stuff. And for them to realize that moment, like, well, I have influence, and to use it for good, man. It's not everybody ever gets to experience that feeling.
It's fulfilling.
It's fulfilling, 100%. And to use it for good, I want to be the tough bad guy or whatever, because there's plenty of that in wrestling. The dude that wears all black leather and I'm an edgy heel, like all that stuff. There's a lot of those. But if you can make it as a good influence, and we want to show. Like for us, our little mission is we want to show that that Christians can be tough. You know, they don't have to be your cookie cutter, all that, and all that. But yeah, we just want to show that there's a good version of hero, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get mom to sign off on a show, I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
probably-
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
She finally came around, so
Yeah.
we did something okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't even ask you guys about your characters.
That's our thing.
Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
thing. We're ourselves.
You're yourselves,
Yeah.
right?
We'll be
You
these
are
guys out there.
yourselves.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, you got the name, right? That has such history to it. But why did you decide, like, you just wanted to be you in the ring?
You know, there's a lot of like, when you become a wrestler, there's a lot of like reflecting, like, who am I? And we had that question for years, but I believe it was in Burleson, Texas. We were fresh out of Japan, and we really, in Japan, you don't have any crowd work. It's just wrestling, that's it. And so the crowd's like quiet the whole time. It's a really weird experience, especially in the beginning. Okay, go out there and pretend to be comfortable, pretend to be confident. You're in your underwear. It's really hard. It's really especially for an 18-year-old kid. It's to pretend like you're comfortable, but
Yeah, it was.
Forgot where I was going.
We're at Burleson one
That's
night,
right.
and we pull up to the show, and it's at the high school, and it's a kind of a rundown little sign, but it said Von Erich's Saturday night, and that's all it said. And we pulled up, and the parking lot was full, and you get that feeling in your stomach like these people came out to, you know, because their memories of the Von Erichs, and it's like, well, they want Von Erichs, we're going to give them Von Erichs, and that's where our character came from. Let's just be ourselves, you know, turned up to an 11, basically.
We thought they made a mistake by putting us as main event. We were fresh in the business, and like,
It's like this is too much of a like a burden almost. We're
Yes.
like we have to deliver.
We have to.
And so I think from that point on, we're just like, let's 100% commit and embrace this path that we're on. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
That was the start of everything. We committed, and it must have been, you know, shyness or maybe even a little bit of pride. I just didn't want to look stupid. You know, I didn't want to fully commit and not be good at it. But these people paid tickets, and I was like, all right, they're going to see what Marshall's full commitment looks like and Ross's full commitment. And it went great. It was awesome. And it was the first time that wrestling made sense to us, because for a long time we felt like we were out of place. You know, we're like, man, maybe we're just not made for it because we're pretty introverted, you know, and we felt like we were. But as we go develop into our careers more and more, we realize this is what we were made for, and we love it. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was fun.
Thank you guys for covering wrestling. That's like, what a beautiful thing. It's a new day, we feel like, in wrestling, and the tide's kind of turning, and this is kind of the environment when my dad and uncles got into it. It was,
Yes.
it's definitely not stagnant now, but I'm just, in the last 5 years, it was kind of at a certain point, and things are kind of changing right now.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
I feel like wrestling is becoming cool again. We really do. We really feel like that. It is.